As anybody who's seen Megamind long already knows, Titan was originally intended by Megamind to be the hero that would replace Metro Man, only for his new creation to have other ideas and eventually go rogue. But what's easy to forget is that, despite spending the entire third act out for Megamind's blood, Hal was initially interested in recruiting him to be his partner in crime. And today, I'd like to explore what would have happened had this scenario played out, specifically if Hal had forced Megamind to become his sidekick and what the inevitable outcome would have been. And as I have to say in every Titan-based video, there will be spoilers ahead. So in case you don't want anything else about Megamind ruined, don't proceed with this video. Okay, so if you're a frequent watcher of my channel, you'll know that I'm no stranger to making theory videos about Megamind, despite not usually caring for that type of video myself. Everything from if Roxanne should have been the hero instead of Megamind, to if Hal secretly hated Metro Man, to if Titan was immune to the dehydration gun, and you can find links to all those videos in the description in case you'd like to check them out. I've done a lot. But that's simply because I feel they're topics worth exploring. When a movie is as subversive as Megamind is, it opens countless doors to alternative scenarios. But I'm getting off topic here. The point is, let's suppose that after Hal hits Megamind with the revelation that he's more interested in being a villain than a hero, Megamind doesn't have time to react the way he does and just stands there stunned. And as a result, before he knows what's even happening, Hal has already forced him into a sidekick role and has him committing crimes throughout the city. How would things have turned out? And I'm gonna be honest with you, not very good. Because as I've gone over in countless other videos, Megamind isn't actually evil. He just plays the part of the evil supervillain. But when you really look at it, the most he ever does is destroy stuff. And even then, it's usually on a pretty small scale. And it's for this reason that he's able to redeem himself at the end. Because he was always a good person deep down. He had just never gotten to prove it. With Hal, however, it's a completely different story. After being corrupted by his powers, he becomes a real, out-and-out horrible villain, and the acts he commits are even outright stated to be something Metro City has never seen before. At that point, Hal is only interested in using his powers to amuse himself and get whatever he wants, and he doesn't care what he has to do or who he has to hurt in order to achieve that. So simply put, pairing these two together for a supervillain team-up would be a disaster just waiting to happen, because Megamind would never be on board with Hal's brand of villainy, since for him it's all about theatrics and is very uncomfortable with hurting people, while Hal is pretty much the exact opposite. So it would inevitably end with Megamind either trying to resist or talk Hal out of what he intended to do, and Hal getting very angry with him as a result. Now, whether he would just abandon the idea of a team-up, kill or injure Megamind in a fit of rage, or simply force him into compliance is harder to say, but no matter what, it wouldn't have ended well for him. Especially considering his drawing of their partnership literally has him holding Megamind on a leash, which paints a pretty grim picture of what he probably had in mind for him. So simply put, Megamind and Titan teaming up could have only ended with Megamind either getting badly hurt, killed, or forced into servitude when he refused to go along with Hal's schemes. Because there's absolutely no version of that alliance where Megamind doesn't want out almost immediately, since I already said, he was way too good a person to ever be complacent, let alone actively take part in, mass murder and destruction. Now once again, How exactly Hal would react to Megamind's unwillingness is hard to say, but given his temper, it's obvious it wouldn't have gone well no matter what. However, there is one potentially good thing that could have come from events playing out this way rather than how they do in the movie. Because assuming Hal didn't just kill Megamind at the first sign of resistance, Megamind could have redonned his Space Dad disguise and tried to use that to get Hal to back down. Because keep in mind, in the movie as is, Megamind reveals his deception almost immediately afterwards, while here he never has the chance to. And it's always possible that Hal, at least at that point, still would have listened to him because he had no reason to be angry with him. Sure, maybe he wouldn't have liked what he had to say, but it is possible he would have still held him in enough regard to stop his rampage and let Megamind go if he told him to. Now there is every chance he also could say screw it and turn on his Space Dad right then, since he is pretty far gone at that point, but it is still interesting to consider since he still seems to trust and respect him before Megamind stupidly reveals that he was behind the whole thing. Now, before any of you say it, yes, I understand that this scenario is very unlikely to have played out under any circumstances, considering Megamind is far too assertive and strong-willed to let anyone, even a man-child with the powers of a god, boss him around. And as I already pointed out, it's pretty much a given that there would only be one outcome if it somehow did happen, which would be Hal turning on him the moment Megamind wanted out. Now, as I just said, maybe he could have used the Space Dad disguise to rein him in, but even if that did work, and that's a big if, things still probably wouldn't have gone as well as they do in the movie proper. Because even in the best case scenario, Hal still wouldn't want to become a hero and probably would have eventually just done whatever he wanted anyway, while Megamind would be at an even greater disadvantage when trying to drain him of his powers. Because at least in the movie as is, Hal's already trying to kill him anyway, so he didn't have to make any pretenses about stopping him. In this case, however, he wouldn't even be able to get close to him, and in his Space Dad disguise, he'd run the risk of being exposed if his attempt failed, especially since he'd have a really hard time hiding something as big as the diffuser gun. So, to put it all simply, there would never have been a supervillain team-up between Titan and Megamind in the traditional sense like Hal suggests. Not in a million years. And no matter how things would have gone, it would have ended with Megamind being worse off than he is in the actual movie. So while his reaction to Titan's offer definitely wasn't the best one to have, as I still maintain that his giving everything away in a desperate bid to get him angry so they could fight was far and away his stupidest mistake for 100 different reasons, at least it was better than Hal forcing him to become his sidekick before he could say anything. Because while things didn't go the best after that confrontation, at least it left him in a better position to stop him than he probably would have been otherwise. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything. So now I'd like to hear what you guys think. Do you believe that a hypothetical team-up between Titan and Megamind would have only ended in complete disaster due to their drastically different definitions on what villainy actually entails? Or do you believe it would have actually gone a lot better than I speculated? Please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And as I always say, you do not have to agree with anything I said in this video if you don't want to. You can feel about this or any other topic we discuss here that you want to, and if you think I had it all wrong, that is completely okay. And thank you all for watching. I really appreciate all of it, and I hope to see you all next time.